You are not going to believe this. Netflix handed Meghan Markle millions of dollars to star in a brand new show. Sounds like a big Hollywood win, right? Wrong. What they got in return was total chaos. Missing wine, stolen wardrobe, screaming matches, and one final walk-off that killed the entire production. Yep, who read that right? Meghan didn't just star in the show. She wrecked it, from diva tantrums to wine-fueled disasters. This behind-the-scenes story is messier than a soap opera, and funnier than the show itself. But here's the kicker. This wasn't some tiny indie project. It was big budget, big stars, big expectations, and Meghan turned it into a big OL disaster with a royal twist. So what really happened? Why did Netflix cancel the show for good? And how did Meghan Markle go from Hollywood hopeful to behind-the-scenes nightmare? Stick around, because we're breaking it all down: the juicy drama, the backstage meltdowns, the secret decisions from Netflix execs, and the moment Meghan walked off set and never came back. Grab your popcorn or fake wine, because this is one royal mess you do not want to miss. Let's set the scene. A beautiful, sunny day at a California winery. The crew's ready, cameras are rolling. Everyone's excited to shoot a fancy scene where Meghan Markle, playing her role as a stylish high-class character, swirls her glass and makes wine look glamorous. But instead of acting like a classy lady from a movie, Meghan acted more like someone who just found out there was a free wine giveaway. She didn't just take a sip for the camera. Nope, she took boxes of wine, yes, actual boxes, and dragged them back to her trailer like she was stocking up for a weekend barbecue. And this wasn't some random cheap stuff. Either we're talking expensive wine bottles picked specifically to match the scene. The crew needed them for different takes and camera angles. But thanks to Meghan's personal wine-tasting adventure, there wasn't much left for filming. One producer even joked that the wine had disappeared faster than a Netflix password at a family reunion. Meghan didn't just show up late. She stumbled onto the set looking, well, let's just say not camera ready. Her lines were off, her timing was off, and her energy. Imagine a sleepy raccoon wearing sunglasses inside. One take, she had a full glass. The next, it was empty. No one could tell what was real and what was left over from Meghan's grape-fueled field trip. And here's the real kicker. Her behavior didn't just mess up a couple of scenes. It ruined days of filming. The crew had to reshoot entire parts. Costumes had to be rented, the lighting had to be reset, the extras had to come back, even the ones who had already said goodbye to the wine-stained chaos. One assistant director reportedly said, "We didn't know if we were making a drama series or cleaning up after a wild bachelorette party. Every hour of reshooting costs thousands of dollars. Makeup artists, lighting techs, camera people, food for the cast, all of it adds up." And while the rest of the team was trying to save the show, Meghan was reportedly chilling in her trailer, probably with another glass of inspiration. And you'd think maybe she'd say sorry, or offer to replace the wine. But nope, just more diva behavior coming soon. Like a bad sequel nobody asked for. Now let's talk about what was happening behind the scenes. Because while Meghan was busy sipping like it was wine o'clock every hour, the producers were basically having panic attacks. Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters, the two top bosses at Netflix, were not laughing. These are the same guys trying to fight off subscriber loss, competition from every streaming service on earth, and complaints about why there are 6 cooking shows but no good comedies. So imagine their faces when they found out their main actress was acting more like a wine-stealing raccoon than a professional lead. They were furious. One insider said you could hear the shouting from inside Netflix headquarters. At first they thought maybe it was just a minor hiccup. You know, a diva having a bad day, BEC5, but when reports started coming in about scenes being totally unusable because of continuity issues like wine glasses magically refilling themselves, or Meghan showing up in a completely different outfit halfway through the same scene, realized this was more than just one oopsie. This was a disaster in slow motion. The producers on set were scrambling like they were playing whack-a-mole with problems. First, the wardrobe didn't match. Then, the lighting didn't line up. Then Meghan forgot her lines. Then, she decided she didn't feel like filming today. They were reshooting scenes over and over, trying to patch things together like a group project, with one person doing all the work, and the other drinking in the corner. It didn't take long for things to spiral. Meghan's behavior had the whole crew on edge. One minute, she was in her trailer. The next, she was yelling about lighting. Then she was gone again. It was like trying to film with a magician who kept disappearing, except, instead of pulling rabbits out of a hat, she was pulling wine bottles out of wardrobe bags. And speaking of wardrobe, things were starting to go missing. expensive dresses, jewelry, accessories that were supposed to be saved for later scenes. When the costume team went looking for them, guess where they found some of the missing pieces? That's right, stuffed into Meghan's personal bags. At first, people thought it had to be a mistake. Surely no one would just take clothes off the set without asking, right? But it kept happening. Things would vanish and magically reappear in her trailer or her car. It got to the point where the wardrobe department started locking their racks. When someone finally confronted her about it, she didn't apologize or offer to return the items. Oh no, she flipped. We're talking full volume, yelling in the middle of the lot. F-bombs, finger-pointing, the whole 9 yards. She wasn't even trying to be discreet. This was a full-blown meltdown with background actors watching from behind fake vineyard props like they were witnessing an episode of Hollywood Gone Wild. At that moment, the producers knew they were in serious trouble. This wasn't just a bad day. This was a pattern. Meghan was out of control, and the crew was reaching their limit. One crew member even joked that working on set felt like babysitting a tornado. Another said, "It's like she thinks this is her world, and we're just background characters in her wine-soaked drama." Morale was tanking. People were quitting. Extras didn't want to come back. The energy on set went from fun and creative to tense and terrifying. And remember, this wasn't a student film. This was a Netflix production with a budget bigger than a small country. At this point, the question wasn't, can we fix this? It was, should we even bother trying? At this point, the set had turned toxic. Everyone from extras to assistant directors was fed up. People were whispering that the show might get shut down altogether. One director even asked if they should just give up and scrap the rest of the season. So, what did Netflix do? They rolled out a brand new rule: no more real wine on set. That's right, because of Meghan. All wine had to be fake. Juice, colored water, grape-flavored disappointment. And as if that wasn't enough to embarrass a grown adult, Meghan found out about the rule and lost her mind. During a table read, she shouted that she was being targeted and micromanaged. She even threatened to quit the project unless the producers gave her more space. But at this point, Netflix wasn't afraid. They weren't backing off. In fact, they were already looking for the exit. Behind the scenes, the Netflix team had started reading her contract again very closely. Turns out there were clear rules about misconduct, showing up drunk, and yes, stealing stuff from the set. They began building a paper trail. Every time she showed up late, every time she slurred a line, every time she yelled at a staff member, it was all being documented, quietly, carefully, like preparing for a very expensive breakup. Meanwhile, Meghan was acting like nothing mattered. She reportedly told her stylist that the show was beneath her, that she was the only reason Netflix greenlit it in the first place. She still believed she was Hollywood royalty. But outside her bubble, things were changing fast. Other studios started hearing the rumors. NBC had been talking to Meghan about co-hosting a game show. Suddenly, those talks stopped. Meetings got canceled. Emails went unanswered. Another streaming platform that was planning a parenting docuseries with her. They pulled the plug, just vanished. The same industry that once treated her like a star now wanted nothing to do with her. Even her fans online started asking, what is going on with Meghan? Comment sections were full of people who used to support her, but now said things like, this isn't the Meghan we followed. She's lost it. And now, the grand finale. One morning, Meghan showed up to the set totally unprepared. She didn't know her lines, her hair was messy, her outfit wasn't on, and reportedly, she smelled like a wine cellar. She argued with makeup, refused to wear the costume. When the director tried to talk to her, she didn't yell, she didn't scream. She just casually walked off the set, got in her car, and drove away. That was it. That was the moment everything ended. Within 24 hours, Netflix shut the whole thing down. Production stopped. The press events were canceled. The trailers were deleted. Every single dollar they spent on that show, wasted. They released a vague statement saying it was a creative redirection, but everyone knew the truth. Meghan had burned the bridge, then toasted marshmallows over it. Meghan's team, of course, released their own statement, saying it was a mutual decision. But let's be honest, this wasn't mutual. This was Netflix packing her bags and calling her Uber. And just like that, Meghan's Netflix chapter didn't end with a red carpet. It ended with a big OL fade to black. What's the lesson here? Maybe don't drink all the props. Maybe don't yell at the people trying to help you. And maybe, just maybe, don't treat a Netflix set like it's your personal wine tasting room. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this wild behind-the-scenes breakdown, hit that like button, drop a comment. And subscribe for more Hollywood drama meltdowns and celebrity chaos. And let us know, do you think Netflix should have canceled Meghan's show sooner? Until next time, keep your wine fake and your drama on screen.